Yes. Good morning, Michael Pace. Very nice seeing you.
Hello, Pierre. Nice to be here. Good to see you too.
Thank you for giving to check in the time to check in with you. I'm very happy to have you on this show because I think I know you since 2005, sorry, 2005. I was looking at my notes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, it's been quite a few years since we've crossed paths. I had the chance to meet your mom for the 8 years birthday at the top of the mark. So lovely mom. And congratulations, by the way, to your daughter for her graduation. That's
Thanks.
An achievement. And well, a lot of people here in San Francisco know who you are because you've been in the city for quite a few years. And for people who don't know you, I just want to give a brief introduction on who you are, what you've achieved here. And if you don't mind, that's okay with you?
Go ahead.
So Michael Pace, you are currently the general manager of the Intercontinental Mark Hopkins, which is a San Francisco designated landmark. It is the oldest Intercontinental in the US, s'il vous plaît. AAA for Diamond, Gold Key Award, and one, really I would say, one of the hotel that has the most charm, character, history in the city. It started to be a hotel after the earthquake and fire of 1906 in San Francisco.
Yeah.
You've been in the hotel industry yourself for, I would say, over 35 years.
Close, yeah.
You studied and you worked in Europe, which is great because I'd like to ask you some questions about that.
Okay.
You moved to the US 24 years ago in San Francisco. And something interesting is that the property you are currently the general manager for was the first property you worked for when you came to the US 24 years ago. Talking about a full circle, that's pretty unbelievable.
Yes, it was a very beautiful coincidence and good timing, actually. So it really was a homecoming when I came back about a year and a half ago.
Yeah, well, I didn't know that. When I looked at your LinkedIn profile, I was like, oh my God, well, yeah, that's quite a story. I mean, I could think that you probably have found your heart in San Francisco. You know, you left it, but you're still here.
I never left.
Never left. We're good here. We're good.
Yeah.
You worked for a variety of different hotel groups. You worked for IHG with Intercontinental and Kimpton, Sonesta, Morgan's Evolution Hospitality. You worked in different positions from convention service manager to general manager to area director of operations to area general manager. You are extremely involved with local and state association. You are very involved with eco-friendly program. You are actually at the start in San Francisco of the most renowned eco-friendly program put together for the hospitality business. I'm going to talk about that as well. And you speak 4 languages: French, German, Italian, and Maltese. So thank you, Michael.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with my question. I hope you don't. Do you like my introduction?
It's beautiful. I'm feeling flattered already.
Well, you need to be proud of what you've achieved. I mean, it's quite an achievement. So let me ask you the first questions.
Yeah.
How did you know you wanted to be part of the hospitality industry? When did it come to you? When did it occur? How did you hear from it? Tell us about the roots of your desire to be part of the industry.
The roots of my desire. Wow, sounds so fancy. You know, quite honestly, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do when I was younger, Pierre. I grew up in Malta, you know, the island of Malta, and very distracted, wanting to, you know, be a student as long as I could, I think. And at one point was looking at maybe going into medicine, becoming a dentist. And I did go to England to do 1 year of focused training to get my scores up. And when I was there, I discovered hospitality. being away from Malta for the first time. And I don't know exactly what point it was, but I remember calling my parents and saying, I don't want to be a dentist. I want to be a general manager, and I want to come back to Malta eventually and own my own hotel. And I stuck with it, and I've never looked back.
So very early on, you had a desire to leave Europe to come to the US, or was it just any countries, or really specifically here on this city, or was it just?
No, this was a coincidence and ended up in America. My original plan was I went to hotel school in England, as you mentioned earlier. My plan was to get a really good experience in different countries and different cultures to really learn the most I could about hospitality, and then ultimately go back to Malta and own my own hotel was my dream. But in the meantime, I met my wife, who's also my soulmate, and we ended up, living in Europe together and in Malta. And at one point, I decided to come to San Francisco for a couple of years with her. She's from the Bay Area, and didn't realize how amazing it would be. And I didn't think I'd be here for more than a year or two, and I've been here for, like you said, nearly 25 years.
Well, Michael, let me tell you something. You are not the only one. I was here for 4 weeks. 21 years now.
Yeah.
So it happens to us.
Yeah.
From your experience in Europe, even though, obviously you have more experience here in the US, what do you think are the difference that you've seen between the hospitality in Europe and the hospitality here in America? What kind of differences can you, it's been a while, but just interesting points you have.
Well, a few things. I think, first of all, there's definitely a greater focus and a sense of pride in Europe for studying hospitality and working in hotels. I think people take it very seriously. And I see it to this day when I hire students from Europe or from Asia, for example, to come over here to learn. They are incredibly dedicated and humble and committed to the industry. Whilst unfortunately in the US, it's not the same. We have some really good students, but a lot of kids aren't quite sure why they're in it, or they want to get out of it, and so on. So it's something I work on a lot with the universities in various roles. It's a bit unfortunate. It's one of the largest industries, in driving our economy, and we should have more people and more focus on hospitality coming in. On the other hand, the one thing I do love about the American style of management, it's much more free-flowing, proactive, and forward-thinking, whilst when I was in Europe, it was a bit more old school. I would say, this is a long time ago, it was more management, and here it's more leadership. So that's something I've really enjoyed.
So if you had some advice for students that are, wondering what they're going to do, what do you think the qualities are in order to be part of the hospitality industry? What is required, do you think, for someone to really do well, have a career, enjoy it, and what are the characteristics of good potential character?
I've been doing this, as you said, for over 30 years, and it really is addictive. I don't understand why people wouldn't want to work in hospitality. It's very diverse. So if you have a curious mind, if you like to be challenged on a continuous basis and not have any day be the same as the day before, if you enjoy travel and if you enjoy interacting with people from around the world, even in your own hotel, there's a lot of stimulation that fulfills you, whether it's leadership skills or having a vision and fulfilling it, being part of a large industry, yet being able to bring your own style to it and be an entrepreneur, I think is very rare. In many industries, you have to fit a particular role, and there's not a lot of space for being truly who you want to be or who you are. And I think in hotels, we allow that still. You can work your way up. You can move from one division to another. You can be in sales. You can move to housekeeping. You could be a front office person. You could be running a restaurant. It's incredibly diverse. I think it's an awesome opportunity for anybody who wanted to do any one of those things.
Yeah, and I concur with what you say, because I go to properties on a daily basis, and it's very interesting when you see someone that you feel has potential and you see that person being at the front desk. 6 months later, she's in housekeeping. 6 months later, she's in sales. After that, she's in operation.
Right.
After that, she becomes hotel manager, and then that person became a general manager. So there is definitely, which is nice to see the potential of growth that a person can have within our industry. When you want to do well, it seems that people can really exceed and go to wherever they want.
Yeah. And, you know, Pierre, you mentioned earlier that I started, when I came to America, my first job was at the Hopkins, and I was a convention services manager. And now I'm back on the hill, you know, 24 years later as the general manager. I mean, that is a good example of how, if you believe in yourself and you allow yourself to go on this process of self-discovery and adventure in a way by working for different companies and having different positions, you know, and challenging yourself to get uncomfortable, you know, it's gorgeous. I never imagined I'd be the GM at the Hopkins, and here I am. And it's, again, it's just part of that fun journey, which you don't get in many other industries.
Does this industry requires any specific sacrifice in terms of time, instead of dedication, versus other industries? Do you think there is more involvement in our industry required than other industries, or it's more or less the same?
You know, I think probably the biggest challenge for young people getting in the industry is the hours. You know, they sometimes want to be free in the evenings because of social life, or not be working on the weekends because their friends are off. You get used to it. A lot of folks, especially coming up, you know, through operations and F&B, they're used to it. And there's a whole other world of other people who are also working similar hours. It's not that bad. I mean, myself, I officially work kind of daytime hours, you know, from like 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. But I'm always on my phone, you know, 24 hours nearly a day. But that's only because I choose to be that way, because I like to be involved and to be aware of what's happening in the hotel. But it's all about balance. If you know how to find the balance and the time management, then I don't think it's a real big issue.
So you were just saying before, you think that if you would not have been in this industry, maybe you would have been in the medical field, right? At the beginning?
No.
No. No.
That was, yeah. I wasn't sure what I wanted. I think, quite honestly, if you asked me what would I do if I wasn't a hotel GM, I love design and architecture, and I love sustainability. As you know, that's how you and I met. I would love to have a career where I could balance the two, you know, really reducing our footprint, our negative footprint in our communities, and combining that with design and architecture.
Could you tell us a bit more about sustainability and what you have achieved in San Francisco? Because it's quite remarkable what you've done for the city on the LEED program and, you know, Earth Care program and things like this.
Yeah, it's. I think we've come a long way. You know, we're definitely a leader in, you know, energy efficiency, in community outreach and community involvement with sustainability, recycling. All those things I think we've become really good at, and we're known for it in San Francisco. But I'm always looking for new things, as you know. Recently, I put bees, you know, on the roofs of the hotels I was running and other competitor hotels. My latest project that I'm hoping to start actually the next few days is to restore our gardens here at the hotel to the way they used to be before the construction of San Francisco. So going back to native plants and trying to restore that environmental balance between, you know, animals, insects, plants, and so on. So I want to see if we can do that in the middle of Nob Hill in a way that could make sense for the community and also be used somehow in our, you know, cocktails at top of the mark or some of the food we're preparing in the restaurant.
It's really remarkable, again, how you're able to always look for the next thing. You're always trying to make your property where you are stand out.
Yeah.
You always are so creative with ideas. Where did this come from? How did you just, what curiosity? How do you, what's your process of?
It's a curiosity, and stuff just comes to me. I don't look for it. I read books and articles, or I watch something on TV, and something will trigger something, and that's very much true of my style also with how I run the hotels. I have a vision and I have a mission. I know what I want to do, but very often I'll stumble across something, and then at some time in the future, there'll be that aha click moment. And suddenly the idea makes sense, but 3 months ago it was the weirdest, wackiest thing, you know. So
and you need to have some. I mean, you need to have your crew being part of it, which is not easy sometimes, right? Because you have to have everybody on the same
yes,
page, different departments,
yeah,
ownership sometimes on the same page.
exactly. So for me, it's important to share the reason for doing something and to gauge people's interest and really see what's in it for us. It can't just be a Michael Pace idea that I'm kind of on. You know?
Come on.
Well, I make people crazy sometimes, Pierre. I'll be honest with you. I got too many ideas. I got to slow it down a little bit, you know.
No.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you questions about what's going on currently
Mm.
and how you are approaching the reopening of your hotel. Your hotel was closed due to the COVID-19, like most of the hotels here in the city. And the latest update we got from the Hotel Council of San Francisco is maybe, potentially, a reopening for early or mid-August at best. That's,
Yeah.
I think, where we stand. What kind of impact it had on your business, and how do you plan to reorder, and what challenges you are going through right now to be able to reopen?
Well, a few things have happened. So, end of March, when everything fell apart, when business was falling apart, right in March, like many hotels, we had to make the decision to shut down, which was for me, it was very difficult because my first reaction was, oh my God, how do I let so many people go and get them, and they're going to lose their income. They're going to be financially unstable. They're going to be unsure and uncomfortable and scared. And we have nearly 300 employees and managers in the hotel. So that for me was really nerve wracking, but I had seen the cash flow. I mean, we were losing money like everybody else. But in the meantime, as this was happening, Mayor London Breed had been reaching out to hotels, and she had a big meeting with us in March and said, I need 3,500 rooms to house first responders, healthcare workers, and so on. So I was very quick to start negotiations with the city, and I talked to my owners and they were supportive. And we basically struck a deal. So we actually have been open since the beginning of April, but only for reservations coming through the city for first responders, medical workers, and city workers as well. Those people on the front lines who need to self-quarantine between their work shifts. So it's been an interesting experience, running a hotel differently, but it's been working. We've had obviously staff working here, a very small amount. And what I like the most, Pierre, is it's really trained us a lot and taught us how to run a hotel, the most safe procedures and most hygienic and sanitized, because we've been doing it for the city, trained by the city. So our story is a little bit unique. We're only actually one of 2 hotels in the city that was doing this, right through the summer.
Well, may I ask you how many rooms you had dedicated to first responders? And
well, we're sold out right now. We have been for a long time. Yeah, a lot of folks who are, again, we're not housing sick people. We're helping people to self-quarantine so that if they're working in a hospital after their shift, instead of going home and potentially exposing their family, they would stay in the hotel and self-quarantine for the night. We provide 3 meals a day, go back to work.
so for reopening, you have your plan, your people are lined up, you have your procedures that help you to get ready for it. So everything.
Yeah, we're ready with all the plastic screens, at the desk, and the 6-foot social distancing stickers and signs everywhere, and separation of elevators, and we've been doing it for a long time, so it's good. However, it's going to be scary because when we do open in August, as you mentioned, there's a lot of concern by the folks who would be coming in. What's it like staying in a hotel? Is it safe? Can I be guaranteed that that room is really truly disinfected? And I will say there's an advantage to working for a large company like Intercontinental because we've done such a thorough job on training and supplies and so on.
That's a great, thank you for doing this, because my next question to you was, what kind of differences do you see between the independent small boutique hotel and working for larger corporation, like for IHG? So that's one of the difference, right? Programs are being put in place, very strict, very clear, very, very thorough. I mean, are they, do you know if inspection?
You definitely have a lot of backup. You know, you have people at corporate office. Sorry?
Yeah. No, go ahead, Michael.
No, there's just a bit of a time lapse there, sorry. You're cut out. Yeah, you get the support from corporate office. There's always somebody who can help you. There's always experts who can assist. What I like is there's more entrepreneurship and more ability for you to be yourself and to make up the rules as you go along in a way. And that was something I really enjoyed at Kimpton. For example, working for Kimpton Hotels, I was allowed to rebrand hotels, to reconfigure or reposition a property. As you know, I was part of the first couple of folks creating the Earth Care program on sustainability that went from my one little hotel, Triton, down near the Chinatown gates, to the whole company within a few years. So that sort of entrepreneurship you get in small companies. In big companies, there's a lot of layers. So, you got to balance the two.
Well, talking about full circle, you used to work for Kimpton.
Yeah.
And now Kimpton is part of IHG, and Intercontinental is part of IHG. Isn't that a small world?
It is. It's very interesting. When I talk to the Kimpton folks, I feel like my brothers and sisters are there again. It's still in my heart. It's
very well. Yeah. Let me ask you a bit more fun and informal question.
Yeah.
What is your best guest or staff memory? What is an event? Something that's, you have quite a few years in the hospitality industry.
Yeah.
I'm sure you have many stories, but is there one thing that really stands out among all your years as far as a guest experience or an event that happened in one of your property, or you don't have one that?
There's a lot, right? And there's the big ones where I could talk about maybe a celebrity or a musician, who played for a small crowd at one of my properties, and it was a very inclusive, exclusive event. If you're in a room with Alicia Keys and she's playing piano for 20 people and talking to you like she's your best friend, that's pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
But one story that I really like is a few years ago, one of my properties was that somebody reached out to us, and then I eventually was, in contact with them directly. The lady said, look, I just discovered, I found my twin sister. We were separated when we were 5 years old. It's exactly 42 years ago. I found her after many, many years of searching. And my niece recommended, it was actually the W Hotel here in San Francisco. She said, my niece stays at your hotel for corporate business. She recommended, Mom, if you're going to do this, you have to do that at W. So she said, can you help me maybe set up a nice room or something? So we were trying to brainstorm, what can you do to help somebody celebrate seeing their twin sister after 42 years? That is so big. There's not enough roses or flowers or whatever you could do. So we eventually just had them get together, obviously in a beautiful suite. And besides the champagne and the chocolates and the roses, I got a big bowl with Hershey's Kisses. And we put 42 kisses in there with a note that said, when you get together today in the bowl, you're going to find 42 kisses, one for every year that you've been separated. May this be the beginning, and so on. And they loved it. They really had a very emotional gathering, and they came down, these twins. They were in their mid-40s, and they were crying, and lots of hugs in the lobby. It was nice. It was really moving, and I realized sometimes it's the small things that you do. It doesn't have to be the big thing, and then for me, that touches my heart a lot, being able to do that.
Are you still able to provide this kind of attention detail? Do you train your team on making sure that they pay attention to those kind of situations when they come to a hotel? Because That's
Yeah.
a lot of time and dedication and logistic involved. I mean, you know, it sounds simple, but well, you need to go and buy those Hershey's, count them, do the cards, do the whole thing, right? It's not just, oh, I've got an idea. It has to be executed. And that's where it becomes to be hard, right?
Yeah, it's about making it personal, and today you can Google anybody and anything. So you can find out what somebody's favorite sports team is, or favorite beverage, or favorite restaurant, and really deliver something that is truly meaningful to that person.
So talking about what's your favorite soccer team? Or what's your favorite sport, Michael? Do you have
Uh, well, I'm still European, so the real football from Europe, right? Soccer is my favorite.
do you
Um,
do you have a national team or a team?
I root for the German team because my mother's German, so that's my bloodline. And Bayern Munich is my favorite team in the Bundesliga.
Mhm.
So it's kind of funny because I lie dormant for 4 years, and then every 4 years for the World Cup, I'm the biggest, craziest fan, and like you last time with your French flags. So yeah.
And locally, do you have a favorite sports team here in the Bay Area? Because we are lucky here. We have everything we can think of almost, right? I mean,
Right.
basketball, hockey, football.
I think the Warriors are an awesome team to watch. There's a lot of personality and spunk in that team, and it's a very active game. So I do like that.
Well, I really wish they come back as strong as they were 2 years ago.
We hope so, right?
We
Yeah.
hope so. We have actually, guys, as you and most of us know, we have a brand new stadium in San Francisco. So it moved from Oakland to San Francisco.
Yeah.
Chase Center that is fantastic. So if you are coming to San Francisco, if you're out of town, and if there is a game, you can go and watch a game very easily now, being in San Francisco, which is super.
Right.
Michael Pace, what is your favorite food or favorite restaurant here in the Bay Area? And we're going to push the boundaries to Napa, Sonoma, to the wine countries. But let's say San Francisco first. San Francisco, the wine countries.
Very, very simple. I love pizza. So that is my go-to, a nice thin crust Italian pizza like you get at Tony's on North Beach. My favorite, can't beat it. But my favorite restaurant actually is Water Bar, on the Embarcadero.
Mm-hmm.
It's a classic in the city, I think. And, I just love the views under the bridge, the Bay Bridge lit up at night, and the seafood and the service are superb. It's kind of that old style service. There's a lot of attention. They're very busy. The sommeliers there, the restaurant managers there, everyone's taking care of you. It's just an awesome experience.
If you had to come to San Francisco, not knowing San Francisco, except the Golden Gate Bridge just right behind you, what will be the next spot after the Golden Gate Bridge that someone should come and have a look at? Is it a hike? Is it the Legion of Honor? Is it what? I mean, I know it's a very vague question, but what do you think it would be after the Golden Gate Bridge?
I love going to Coit Tower. I know it's a bit of a tourist trap in summer, but I've been up there recently. Since COVID started, I've on a couple of occasions when I was driving into the city and there was like nobody at all, as you know, in March and April. I drove there a couple of times on my way to work and parked, and the view is stunning. We forget because we live here. You can see from the Golden Gate Bridge all the way to the Bay Bridge and looking backwards towards Nob Hill and Russian Hill. It really is stupendous.
And the good thing about Coit Tower is that it's very close to Tony's Pizza.
I just happened to be driving by, hoping they were open for breakfast.
Easy.
Hey.
So guys, North Beach is a place to go for Michael.
Yeah.
You have Coit Tower, and then 3 or 4 blocks, let's say 4, maybe 5, 4 blocks down, Coit Tower, you have Tony's Pizza. So that's right. Thank you for the info. You probably have traveled the world, I believe. What is the most incredible property you went to in terms of location and in terms of service?
I wish I had traveled to more exotic locations. I haven't, I'll be honest with you. So you know, that's going to be a tough one to mention because I have been to some great locations, but I wouldn't say they're these out of these world locations. You know, having had a daughter growing up and, you know, just graduated university, trips have been short and not as glamorous, but if I can get out of here, I'll go to somewhere like Tahiti or Bora Bora. I want to stay in one of those places where you stay in a room on stilts on the water. That would be my dream, I guess.
Well, I had my honeymoon in Bora Bora, and it was amazingly beautiful. This place is out of this world.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Michael, I just have something that came back to me, and I didn't ask you that question earlier on, and I'm sorry. But you are very involved with association. Why is that? Is it something that hotelier should do? What is, because you're part of the CHLA, the Restaurant Association, and the Hotel Council of San Francisco, and you're a director as well on other boards. But I mean, you are very involved with the association. Could you tell us what is there to it, and is it something hotelier should do or consider or not? Or what's your take on this?
I think if you want to have a voice at the table, you need to get involved, right? If you're a GM that doesn't go out and if you're not networking with your industry and other industries, and if you're not reading up on what current trends are, and if you're not involved in boards, then I think you're doing yourself a disservice, quite honestly. You know, I like to be involved, which is why I'm on these boards. And I think you still remember, I still run what used to be called HARF, the Hotel and Restaurant Foundation. It's now on the CHLA, giving out scholarships to students. You know, it gives me a sense of purpose. You know, I'm blessed. We said earlier, I came to America, 25 years ago, didn't know anything about the country, didn't know how long I'd be here. I'm blessed to be here, this beautiful view behind me, right? I need to contribute, I need to give back, I need to be involved in the community. So for me, it's about balance in life. It's not just about taking and what's in it for me, it's about what can I contribute and give back and, share my voice, share my ideas, talk to students, share the passion. We were talking about that earlier.
Very good. Well, Michael, I think we are almost done with our casual discussion. Is there anything you would like to add to people who are watching us, or any other statement or thing in general you'd like to add, or should we all leave part and say au revoir?
Yeah, I mean, I guess the last thing I would say is, because you asked me a question earlier about the different styles, is if you're passionate about hospitality, then the world is your oyster. You can do anything, anywhere, with any company, whether it's a big corporation or it's small. If you have the vision, if you have the dream in your head, and you come from a good place, you might not get the results straight away, but you keep chipping away, you'll get there. And it makes you a grounded person and more of a global human person who's interacting at a larger level. So that's what drives me a lot. Very
good. Well, we are ready for business in San Francisco very soon. So guys, in August, the doors are open. The Mark Hopkins is a fantastic location. Honestly, the views from the rooms are amazing. The history is amazing. They have a bar on top that is called Top of the Mark. That is part of the history of the city. There is a whole lot of military stories that happen in this bar as well. So have a look at, I'm sure you've heard of the Mark Hopkins. Different movies were filmed there, from Hitchcock to other big ones. But make sure to come and say hi to Michael. Once again, I'm not sure going to have much time.
I'll be here.
But he'll be there. So we're looking forward to have everybody coming to San Francisco very soon. The hotels are safe and clean, and we have one of the most best and efficient hotelier in the country that really worked hard to make sure that everything will be done right. So we're here, we're waiting for you. Michael Pace, thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it. I know you're a very busy man, and it means a lot that you took this time for checking. Merci, Michael. Awesome. Tchuss. Au revoir. See you soon.
See
À
you.
bientôt at the Mark Hopkins.
Thank you, Pierre. We'll see you then.
Bye-bye,
Bye-bye.
Michael. Bye.
Ciao.
Bye.